The problem is, most of us, our mind holding us back. So we can't think far into the future. We can't even imagine doing something. We can't even imagine starting something because we are afraid, right? But we're going to get deep into the bottom of the situation to unlock, to unleash the true potential that we all have. Because we all have a gift, guys. We all have some sort of gift. I'm telling you. But if you don't bring out your creativity, what are you going to sell out there? What are you going to present to the world to sell? You see? So it's my goal is the reason, man, I'm going into the mind, and after that, I'm going to go jump into marketing, and we're going to go deep down into business for us to, to have the entrepreneur mindset. All right. So, guys, in this video, man, I'm going to talk about how our mind is actually holding us back because a lot of us don't realize it. But today, I'm going to decode it for you to have a better understanding. Okay. So let's jump onto the board. All right. So you see how I always talk about the CBT triangle loop, right? The CBT triangle loop is very important to understand, guys. So try your very best to pay attention. So when we have a thought, regardless what the thought is, it's automatically triggers some sort of feeling. Automatically. Okay, it's like they wire together. The minute you think of something, you better believe it trigger a feeling. And once the feeling is triggered, then automatically trigger a behavior. It doesn't mean that, you know how sometimes when we upset, we want to lash out, but we can't. And we try to restrict ourselves. We hold ourselves back from releasing our anger. So a behavior could be anything once you have the feeling inside. When you feel like doing something and you're holding yourself back, it's basically a behavior. Keep that in mind, okay, guys? So once now let's say, behave a certain way, the behavior automatically gonna create a thought, and the thought gonna automatically align with a feeling, and the pattern gonna continue. It's gonna continue and it's gonna reinforce itself. So the way we think really, really matter. Hold that in, okay, guys? I'm gonna say one more time for you to understand. The way we think, the way we really, really think, the way we imagine things really, really matters. Because, if we have negative thoughts, if we don't believe in ourselves, if let's say our self-esteem very low, when it comes to taking action, behavior, it's going to be next to impossible because we're going to feel like, okay, you know what, the behavior that I'm about to initiate, it's not going to work for me. So therefore I'm scared. I'm going to hold myself back. Just like when we angry, we hold ourselves back. It's the same way when we want to do something, when we want to start something, we hold ourselves back because we don't believe in our thoughts. We don't believe in ourselves. And the way we evaluate ourselves, always negative. Okay, so why does that happen? Because it doesn't happen to everyone, but it happens to most people. But why? What's going on? Let's jump into it even more. Okay, so guys, I'm going to go down to our childhood, okay? So let's talk about our childhood. Let's say, right? Let me go back. Because our childhood play a huge role, right? So let's say when you were a child, right? Okay, you're starting to begin to develop consciousness. You're starting to be aware of things, and you're starting to question things. Of course, it's the reason you will see kids, they question things a lot. All right. So when your mom or dad say, okay, you know what, apple, when you ask your mom, oh, what is that? Mom or dad will say, oh, it's an apple. Okay. And it's jumped down to long-term memory. Apple now. And, it's the reason they would teach us colors. They'll say red, blue, for us to know colors to identify things. So now your mom or dad going to say, you know what, apple is red. And you already associate. Okay, so you have apple plus red. Okay? Plus fruit. So the apple is a fruit. The apple is red. It's what they put in your long-term memory by teaching you, by telling you that, okay, you know what? Apple is red and it's a fruit. We don't think of apple like yellow or orange, nothing like that. We know for sure. we are confident that apple is actually red and it's a fruit. Okay, so it's the same thing. Sometimes, you know, some parents, right? It's the reason, man. Honestly, to be a parent require a lot of patience because kids do question a lot, but most parents they don't understand why kids question a lot. So let's say a kid, you know, some kids very curious. They trying to question their mother or father. Oh, what is this? What is that? Can you explain this to me? Can you explain that to me? But some parents, the problem is because of their difficulties in life, let's say stress, they will tell the kid, be quiet, you talk too much, go sit down, creating fear into the kid's system because all the fear within the consciousness, right? Because it's a developing consciousness, it's going straight to long-term memory. It's saving for future usage because it's the first piece of information. You know, we will teach a kid lips, eyes, nose, things to know. Then they start creating different patterns. They starting to associate lips with different things. Lips, you get the or mouth to eat, stuff like that. Different pattern to associate some sort of like organized consciousness. Okay? So now, when the mom or dad saying, you talk too much, go sit down, like all kinds of negative words, all of them save it into long-term memory, guys. Keep that in mind, okay? Now, let's move into the future, the adult self now, right? You see the little voice I always talk about, the little voice inside of our head. Every time we're trying to do something, it's holding us back, and we don't understand why it's holding us back, right? So now our adult self, right? We want to do something. We want to start a business. We want to be confident to believe in ourselves. But what happened? The same, go sit down, you talk too much, all that. We retrieving it in the future whenever we trying to do something as an adult, but we don't understand why it's happening. It's the reason. Sometimes we have to face the little voice. We must face the little voice because it could be our parents' little voice. It could be our teacher little voice. Different things that create fear into our system for us to not able to move forward. Okay? They're not real. They're not reality. So if you want to start a business, right? And you didn't have that self-belief, okay? Your parents didn't insert the self-belief into your system. Of course, it's normal. You're going to be afraid to take risk, and you're not going to believe that you can achieve the goal. Because the little voice inside of your head asking you, who the hell do you think you are? What are you trying? You're not going to accomplish it. No way. You might as well stop. And by listening to it, create a restriction into our system. It's the same thing when we're angry, we're holding ourselves back. I just use anger as an example, just for us to have a better understanding. We restrict ourselves from doing what we really want to do. We restrict ourselves from starting a business. Because, you know, the hustling mindset, the entrepreneur mindset require independent thinking. And most of us, we don't have that because of the little voice inside of our head restricting our behavior. Do you get what I'm saying? So guys, listen, we can do it. We can fight the little voice. We can raise our self-esteem. We can have a leadership mindset. We can have an independent mindset. But we must face the little voice inside of our head holding us back from doing what we really want to do. Okay, so it's the reason, guys, I'm going to drop more videos about the mind and about thoughts for us to work on things. Listen, I'm giving you guys pure, real information, facts, things you can actually Google to find out yourself. You know, I'm just dissecting them for you guys to understand, for you to just do the work. Because listen, we must do the work, man. We can't just listen to information and just agree and say, oh yeah, it's true. You know, he's right. He has a point. I can feel it. I know exactly what he's talking about. But when I say, okay, you know what? To solve the problem, you must do this, you must do that. But you decide, okay, you know, this guy is tripping. I don't have time for this. I'm too busy. I'm not going to do it. Then you're not going to be able to see results. We must take action to see changes. There's a big difference between knowing something and actually taking action to make changes, because, you know, behavior can change the way we think. Behavior can change our thoughts, okay? So keep that in mind, guys. Look, thoughts, when we have a behavior, the way we behave, let's say we don't procrastinate. Let's say we start to working on towards a goal. We starting to understand our behavior, and we starting to change the way we behave. By changing the way we behave, we'll automatically start changing the way we think. And by changing the way we think, the way we perceive things, we'll automatically change the way we feel. And that's when we're going to start believing in ourselves. That's when our self-esteem going to start raising a little bit. And that's when we're going to be able to start developing the hustling mindset, the entrepreneur mindset, to start making money, to start a business. It doesn't mean starting a business, you know, it's going to be successful. There could be an L, but when it comes to taking risk, you're going to do it. You're going to feel like doing it. You're going to enjoy doing it. All right. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button for more great content. If you have anything to say, let it out in the comment section. See you next time. Ciao.